Bitcoin is moving through major resistance, breaking all of those. It does seems like we are getting inside candles after inside candles in the continuation pattern. And the market is giving you the narrative of how things are evolving. But keep this in mind, you get news like this on one hand when we should be focused on things like this happening. 17 billion going to zero. It's a big thing to understand in the market. A bank which is one of the biggest bank in the world valued at this does not look great. We are in a financial market where things are changing and they are changing pretty quickly. The way we see how the central banks are working together today, it is crazy. Now, if you're in crypto today, it's an important day here. We got a candle close on a weekly, which gives you a clear indication of what we talked about just came true. Now, when you're in the market, I believe it's super important to know what you are looking at. Now, this is back when we were close to 20,000 saying we are going to go high, not to the downside. We were giving you this pattern before that saying, okay, we may actually go through this stuff and then come back up because the pattern does sound similar. Then what happened? We did that. Now, once you get the clear perspective of which direction you are moving, I think you have an advantage in the market. And that's why these things are really important. There are hundreds of people who are taking benefit of this. And with this level of clarity, I think it kind of helps us. Like here, what happened is you did do that small corrective push and you went up. Now, why is that so important? Because you already hit this level of resistance. What does that mean? There is a possible correction coming. You cannot neglect the fact that we may see a short-term correction coming in, even though we got an inside candle after another inside candle and we are bullish on the macro. Now, don't think we are putting this chart out right now. We've been following this to give you guys the best possible information so that you can take the best guess, educated guess, because this is all probability in the market. And if you turned out to be on that winning side, that's great. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10 person. I'm so happy and thankful for the guys who are actually jumping in and watching the recent release in the second channel. It's comparatively getting much higher views and I'm like, okay, there's no way else other people are going to watch. It's you guys for sure. So now we jump back into the market to see, yeah, we got a candle close on a weekly, which does suggest that we are about to go parabolic like this. There can be a continuous rally. Next 3 to 5 months is going to be super interesting. However, you are in a market where we see these kind of things happening. And tomorrow is a Monday. Today, a lot of central bankers are working and they usually don't work on Saturdays, Sundays. And when they do, keep in mind there is something happening. And the news tomorrow morning can be volatile, right? The market can react to it. But at least for the time being, we see that the market is showing you some good news, which is crypto is becoming a safe haven asset. And this comes from a big guy, from a big institution, like the giants of the world, right? Now, when you are here and you're trying to look for opportunities, I think this is the case out there. We are still in the pattern. Now, this is a rising wedge, which usually is bearish corrective in a bullish trend that gives you opportunity to get on if you forgot to enter, right? Now, what does that actually mean? Because we just understood that this market does one way or the other. It kind of gives you an idea of three-way structures. You go up, you correct back down, then you do the correction. So now if you are looking at that point, I would say like we kind of got a microstructure like this, then we did the short-term wave correction. So what really is happening here? Because this is just the first leg in that category. But the catch here is that when you zoom into this territory, this is already a 1 hour chart. So when you're zooming in, that literally becomes ultra short term or micro term chart. That's confusing, right? And I know, not a lot of people like to go through these stuff, putting their time in. That three-wave structure looks like completed in my eyes. So that's where I'm now zooming back out to literally point out that there is something happening in the price action. Great. We do understand that the narrative is strong, it's bullish. But there can still be a possible move to the downside before you go up. Now, it's not confirmed yet. What you need to keep in mind is that a break of this pattern to the upside means you are going parabolic. That usually shows you a rising wedge which breaks to the downside is great, but a rising wedge which breaks to the upside is going to kick in FOMO. Now, what is the probability for that? It's just 35% probability that you may break to the upside, because majority of the times what you see is a corrective move to the downside, right? So in that scenario, we are observing the market, we are watching the market. And if you are saying like, okay, I'm not in Bitcoin, what does that actually mean for my portfolio in alts? And I'm like, understand the macro first. We did discuss about the dollar on a macro, and we did say at this point when we were going through this level that most likely we are going to get rejected. There's a weekly, and here you are, we got rejected. We are coming back down. Now, why is that so important when you are in the altcoin market, right? And I'm like, yeah, that is true, but you do have to look at the macro scenario here and put the narrative in and say, okay, that is a macro level which we told we are gonna look at. Now, this is so important to know that we are reaching a long-term resistance level for this pattern, because we've been following that too here, right? While we were at this point, I told, okay, I think we are making a double bottom. We are going to go up. That means alts are going to be slow. Bitcoin is about to move higher. Then while we were breaking through that level, we were like, okay, we're going close to 48% in Bitcoin dominance. Right now, this is where we are. That's close to that level which we are talking about. Now, you have two key scenario here in the market when you're on the macro, right? We all understand the fact that Bitcoin dominance has been dropping like this for a very long time. So if we manage to break this to the upside, you will observe that the Bitcoin is about to run towards $33,000, $34,000, $35,000, and we may reach this level, 54. Now, can that be an exact precise level? No, because you have one support level here which is 52 and the next one here at 57. So in between that is going to be a major resistance, but the point to be kept in mind is this particular range is going to be a true concern for the altcoins, because if you're breaking to the upside, that means money is moving more into the Bitcoin dominance, breaking through a trend which lasted for years. What are the odds for that? Which is much lower, because one, the ROI structure would be low. Two, you have a resistance line where you get rejected all the time. So like what you did here, there is still a possibility you may wick to the upside, you hit this level of resistance and then go back down. That would just means more patience in most of the altcoins. So that being said, now it's a thought process to go into the altcoins and look at what the altcoins are doing, right? We have a lot of different altcoins in the market, especially we'll jump first into the XRP. Now, while we actually jump onto the XRP, we do have to keep in mind, like, in different exchanges, different valuations, all that thing will be there. But we'll go into the Binance one for the time being and look at what's happening. Now, we're trying to break through a key range, which is actually a good indication of what's happening, because we also got an inside candle here in XRP. Wow, right? That's exciting. Now, the movement is not big. It's too small. Now, what we have to see here is Bitcoin slowing down and the altcoins taking off at that resistance of 48%, which would show you and me that XRP is about to break through a long-term trend line resistance, which should kick start the movement towards $2 or at least $1.3 to $1.5. We've been waiting for this one for a very long time. Now, in the altcoin market, we do understand the entire market is now about $1.2 trillion, which is close to being precise, 1.246. And we also see some of these coins moving higher. And one thing to note here, it's one is NEO, then VeChain, then Filecoin, and I'm like, something with China here, right? You look at a lot of these products and you're saying like the capital flow or the cash flow for these assets does look like it's coming from one country. So if you are looking for that kind of correlation, it may really help you. Why? Because when I'm going into the market to actually see like, okay, that's what I'm observing. That's the fundamental. China is like about to go into proper stimulus, pushing the economy, putting back money in. What does the price action show me? There's a candlestick pattern which show you that we are reversing. It's either a 3 corrective candles or 2, which here is 2, which is good, great. Now, you have a rounded bottom which is breaking to the upside and you got a double bottom here at the bottom. Reversal signal. And it shows you there is a possibility that this run can go another 100% from where it is. Now, I wouldn't be surprised with that because when you're on a macro, you look for the macro price action and the pattern. Here, the pattern clearly shows you that it's a falling wedge, which actually took the price all the way back down to the starting point. For me, that's wave 1. In wave 1 correction, you come back down towards the bottom, but you don't put in a new low. You reverse and you start going back up. And if that's the case, I'm like, wow, these coins are gonna go nuts. Meaning it's 20x in wave 1. Historically, it's 2 to 3 times wave 1 and wave 2. So you take the conservative point and say, okay, that's going to be a 40x, and you land somewhere close to $250. Right now, it's $13. Right? That's a massive ROI structure even from the current lines. Now, think about all these coins we have seen. Sia coin, NEM, everything else. We saw some of them showing 20x of wave 1 in wave 2. Here we are just taking 2x of wave 1 and wave 2. So we are trying to be conservative, and that still shows you the market is about to go crazy. Now, the other coins we just saw with that China narrative out there is one of them like Filecoin, which is getting a lot of liquidity from that sign. And I'm like, okay, that does show some interest for the new cash flow coming into the market. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying like this has something similar with Bitcoin. In the price action side, it's showing you a reversal signal, inverted hammer. When you're at the bottom, at the support, shows you bulls are entering, and that's a bullish sign, which is, a positive territory. Now you go on the macro and you really want to see like what's the trend line? What are you really observing? You broke that trend line. You went up, you're trying to put in higher highs and higher low, which is consistent with the bullish trade mark. Now, what would be the proper resistance level which you would look for in the first run up? Now, that's going to be close to $20. You still have around 300% move in just one coin on the short-term narrative, right? That looks great. Now, going back, we also observed in that top 100, now we also have VeChain, right, VET. And when we come back into that asset to look like, okay, what's that narrative showing you? It looks almost similar to that of NEO, right? It kind of shows you like it has a macro structure which showed you a corrective consolidation after the run up here. And now you are trying to break that to the upside. We don't have the confirmation yet, but we are trying to break that segment. And there are other coins in the market which actually shows you something similar in the price action pattern where you're like, we went up nuts. We did take the profits here at the top and you came back lower, right? So now we look at the price action and we say, okay, we took the profit there. But we made the mistake of going back in the market close to 2025. And I'm sitting here and asking myself, taking profit close to the top here. Now, yeah, we didn't get the exact top of 170. We took at the close of 120, 130, somewhere there, right? And buying back at 20 is not a bad thing. Is it close to the bottom or is it close to the top? That's what you should be noting it. Not trying to nail the exact bottom, because that may not work well. And if it does not, now it's going to hurt you, right? Trying to go leverage, all those crazy things. Coming back, we got a hammer at this support. We got an engulfing candle, which is looking good on a weekly. Now you enter on the monthly territory. You see, like, okay, the price is making a higher low, and then you're getting a hammer, which is consistent with what's happening in the market. So you now have a ton of these assets reacting positively. Just we are waiting to see what XRP does with this market cycle, because it's not only about XRP. There is a lot of these payment tokens which actually is consistent with what's happening in the market. XLM right now is trying to put in a double bottom, and if that happens, it's going to go higher, break through that long-term trend line. And then the next payment token which we can actually look at, say instead of a monthly, it would be preferable to go on a daily and look what's happening here. You got this pattern, you broke that to the downside. That pattern was bearish. You broke that, you came back down. Now, on a weekly, we need to actually see what's happening. Are we trying to put in a bottom? And it does seems like, okay, you tried to put a hammer in. You did not exactly get a clear engulfing pattern. It's a try. The market did try to push through the upside, but we need one more confirmation. If that's me looking at the chart, I would say, okay, we may need one more consolidation and correction there before we actually take off. But when you come into the market, it's also important to note where is the volume, right? Where is this volume jumping? And especially when you are looking at this price action in the smaller coins, medium term, and you move through them, you need to see what the market likes, not what you like, right? Now the market is 300 million in OMG network. I'm like, okay, they moved into the BOBA token. Now the network is showing, we are really interested in this token, and it is moving higher. So now if you are there in that asset, for you, it does mean that you need to actually look at that asset in terms of what's happening and go on the macro and see what really is happening. Is it just a term where it's like, okay, attract the buyers, keep them there and jump back in? And I think it's not. The support which turned into resistance is broken, and it is consistent with the move in Bitcoin. So you are following Bitcoin with a higher level of correlation. You had the price structure which was so bad, like it hurt a lot of people, right? It hurt a lot of people. What happened here was not that great. Corrective action through the market with all these fraud scams like Terra Luna, FTX, and all those happened, right? But those who stuck with the investing philosophy and the fundamental analysis are now going to go back into this, right? They understand, like, okay, there is something happening. Now, what would be your major level of trend line resistance? This is going to be one level. I'm not saying we are directly going to like $20. In between that, you do have resistance. So it's important for us to look at the market and see what the market is doing, where the market is jumping into. We had a breakout call which we dropped recently, right? And when we actually jump onto that one right now, if we actually keep our minds focused and look at what the hell is happening in the market right now, we see like there are patterns evolving, and we had our thought process, and right now that is moving up. It's 20% up for the day, right? So the thought process of going through the market and getting the detail like this, in a way you understand the big picture so that you don't lose the thought process of what the hell is really happening, right? Because a lot of people were still giving you the thought process of $15,000 when we were close to this range. When we started to move up, they started changing their mindset, saying, okay, we are going to go higher and then we are going to come back to 30,000. And I'm going nuts here. Like, am I missing something? This is a corrective pattern which shows you that the impulse is going to be the upside. That did happen. Then you're making higher highs, higher lows on a longer time horizon, weekly frame. I have a hard time understanding why people still talk about $12 to $15,000, right? That's really having a slim chance in the market unless the world collapses. We are literally not looking at that opportunity. So if you are in the market and you are looking for information like this to keep you posted with what's happening in the market, look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.